My name is Wanda Kubrisky, and it is a distinct pleasure and honor to be here with you this evening. Thank you all for showing up. My role is the opener and closer, so we have feedback. I simply are giving you a welcome and also want to give you just shout out some thanks to all the folks that helped put this program together. And first and foremost, I want to thank Blackstone Memorial Library and our Brantford libraries, plural. Let's hear it for our library. Democracy, upholding freedom of speech, and hopefully will not succumb to any censorship. And this program is evidence of that. I also want to give a specific thank you to Jenna Anthony, right here, who is one of the treasures of Brantford and is the program coordinator for the library. So I highly recommend, if you have a program that you want to do, reach out to Jenna. She's terrific to work with, as you can tell. I also want to give a shout out to BCTV in the corner there that is taping this event, and we'll put it up on the BCTV channel. And I especially also want to give a thank to John Hartwell and to Walter Mann for making that arrangement. So thank you very much. Also a treasure. I also want to thank Tom Lawrenson, who, as of yesterday, said, "Oh, I'll take care of the sound for you." So that's one thing wanting in this library is a good sound system. I believe you may want to talk to your friends who are on the library board or the RTM or whoever's in charge of funding for the library. That's a really important thing to have, because Tom Lawrenson is probably not going to be available for every single program, but thank you, Tom. I also want to thank Julia Wyant, who's in the back there. Julia stepped up, just introduced herself and said, "Hey, I'll help you redo your flyer." I'm not a graphic artist, so she recognized that. She redid our flyer, and she's also going to give us a shout out later about her poster and her that it's going to go towards a donation that one of our panelists is involved with. Last year, this is an event that I don't think any of us really want to be here, but we know that we have to be here. A year ago, we met for the first time. It was I can't remember, but it was March 8th, which is actually Women's International Day, and we met. It was spontaneous. It was another one of these, let's just do it. And we did it in about 8 days, and everybody was so super helpful and aboard. And we met on the steps, and it was very touching. And we did it for Adrian Bonenberg and his wife Irina, who is our lead speaker tonight, knowing that they were in Ukraine, in fact. And so it was very personal for many of us. And then we did another vigil, I think it was 60 days after the start of the war in April. And that was also very touching. And we ended that vigil with a chime, and we rang it, all of us present rang the chime, and it was a total of 60 times. And I was thinking that if we did the chime now to mark all the dead, both Ukrainians and Russians, it would be probably about 2 or 3, I do the math, but it'd be like 2 or 3 days of every second the chime go. So that gives you I'm also pleased to say that the host of tonight is the Women's Political Salon. Just a word about the Women's Political Salon. We're a very under the radar not even an organization, a group. We've been meeting on a monthly basis since February of 2018, including during the pandemic via Zoom, and we discuss current events and what is political in our lives, both locally, personally, locally, and nationally and internationally. So this was a perfect opportunity to undertake this event. And It was Irina, who was our speaker, featured speaker last February on the Sunday before the 24th, which was a Thursday. And so she filled us in, and it went unusually so. It went over like 2 hours because we were just so riveted with what she was telling us. And then hence, 5 days later, the war really started. So we feel a real connection to Ukraine. We feel a real connection to Irina. And it was Irina about 10 days ago called me and said, Vanda, I have this these prisoners, can you do a program? Sure. And luckily, the library was available. Luckily, everybody fell into place. And that's kind of the grace note of all of this. Lastly, war hits the most vulnerable. Children, elderly, poor, and lots of women. And so hence doing this today, because our guests are going to be going back to Ukraine. International Women's Day is on March 8th. Now, many Americans are not really that familiar with it, but in Europe, and especially the old Eastern Bloc, and also South America, Central America, around the world, except the United States, it's celebrated greatly. And it's even like a holiday. Women get flowers, they get the day off, that sort of thing. And women show courage, resilience, resourcefulness. So I think we deserve a day off. So I think the United States should adopt International Women's Day. But I'm reminded of a little tea towel I have, and it says, the 3 wise men. It's for Christmas time. It says, well, 3 wise women, they would have asked directions. They would have arrived on time. They would have cleaned out the manger in the stall, and they would have swaddled the baby. They would have made a casserole, and there would be world peace, right? So all the more that we should be celebrating International Women's Day. And lastly, I'm going to pass the mic now to Sally Bonner, who, if you want to have good PR for your event, you have to make sure to involve a journalist with good PR contacts, and that's Sally. And she will now introduce the speakers. Thank you much.
Thanks, Wanda. Many of you know me from local reporting and from my love of everything related to cats. Through Facebook, I have many connections with the Russian blue cat community. Maybe we should change it to Ukrainian blue. Russian blues are an exquisite breed of cat, and I've had several over the past 30 years. The war in Ukraine has proved to be a difficult point of discussion among the Russian blue community. In a discussion with a Dutch friend, Margie, she said she has avoided contact with several people, one in particular who she had visited in Russia and was quite close to. Lilia, a Russian blue breeder in Kaliningrad, Russia, is a fellow journalist. We were very close at one point. However, when the war started, she came all out in favor of Putin and cited the Ukrainians as Nazis through the typical Russian party line. It was obvious that her information was filtered. We had a few heartbreaking go-arounds, but have really not been in touch since then. Elena, another Russian blue friend, has elected to stay in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. I check in with her every week or so, and thus far she has remained safe, despite intermittent power and internet. She remains in Kharkiv because of her animals and family. The logistics just preclude her leaving. I mentioned this gathering to her, and although she could not follow the link, she responded. This is from Kharkiv. Hello, unfortunately, it is not possible to follow the link, but in any case, I am grateful to you for your concern and your active support of Ukraine. We believe that there will be peace in our land, no matter what. Thank you. I follow Igor Novikov, who remains in Kyiv and reports regularly through Twitter and on MSNBC, which, by the way, has provided incredible Ukraine reporting. More recently, his wife and young daughter have left the country due to the stress of the war. And by the way, Igor is a cat person. He posts photos of his cat, Krishka. And dare I say that many of the casualties of war have been the pets left behind as well. Amid all this, March marks the beginning of Women's History Month, and March 8th, 2 days from now, is International Women's Day, as Wanda had said. Which brings us to tonight. Tonight we have 3 international women with us, a journalist and 2 women who have experienced the ravages of war. Ludmila Husinova was imprisoned and tortured for 3 years, and Anna Olsen for 6 months. They have persevered against unimaginable odds. They are in the country as part of the Media Initiative for Human Rights. MIHR's goal is to combine journalism and human rights activism to expose and react to human rights violations caused by Russian aggression against Ukraine. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Irina? A short exit from Ludmila's compelling story. She is a resident of temporarily occupied Novazovik, I don't know if I said that right, a region of the Donetsk region. She cared for orphans and semi-orphans from the temporarily occupied village of Primorsky. In the territory controlled by Ukraine, she collected children's clothes and shoes, bought school supplies, vitamins, candies, and books. She was detained on October 9th, 2019, due to volunteering, having a pro-Ukrainian position since a blue and yellow flag hung over her house for a long time, and her social media activity. She was imprisoned for 3 years, although the court, quote unquote, never delivered an actual sentence. Anna's bio is compelling as well. She is a senior combat medic of the Chemical and Biological Protection Company of the 36th Separate Brigade of Marines. She was at the Illik factory in Mariupol, was captured and spent 6 months in captivity. She went through physical and psychological torture, stating that the Russian officers who tortured her behaved like animals. Anna was released along with other prisoners on October 17th, 2022. I'm not sure if you caught 60 Minutes last night, but 3 other women held as prisoners were interviewed during that segment. These brave women will be introduced by our own Irina Solomko-Bonenberger. She is an award-winning Ukrainian journalist and newly minted U.S. citizen. She gave us chills and thrills when she described voting for the first time in the midterms at a salon meeting. Irina is now correspondent for the Ukrainian service of Voice of America. She and her husband, Adrian Bonenberger, a Brantford native, journalist, and veteran, traveled to Ukraine at the beginning of the war. Despite the danger, Irina's parents have remained in Ukraine like many citizens. In addition to her journalism resume, Irina is a documentarian, a pro-democracy advocate. Her work has appeared in numerous Ukrainian publications and broadcast networks for 20 years. She covered the most recent Euromaidan revolution, as well as the war in Ukraine's east. She will moderate the stories of Ludmila and Anna with the help of a translator. Thank you, Irina, for this event, and welcome Ludmila and Anna.
Good. Can we start? Thank you so much. I will open this discussion. Thank you so much for all of you for being here. It's really meaningful for Ukraine. It's really meaningful for me, and it's incredible meaningful for these brave and courageous women who face incredible torture and, as already mentioned, psychological and not only physical, and they will tell you their own stories. But I would like to start this event from little video clip about one little village. It's in Kherson region, and Sally already mentioned about this non-profit media initiative for human rights. So that was the 10th field mission, because as you can imagine, it's extremely important now for Ukraine not only to win the war, and we don't have any doubts that we will win the war, but the most important now for Ukrainians is to hold Russia accountable. So we have a lot of journalists, a lot of investigators, a lot of human rights activists who actually going to these occupied areas and talking to people, because they need to document every single crime that Russia committed on our land. And if I may now to ask you to show this little piece, it's really, it's like a scratch what they're seeing there, and I hope you will feel this as well. So I believe in this video you can see the real Ukrainian spirit, because you can see Ukrainian flag. This is actually the first things that you can see, like in the liberated areas. You can see still like some shells, yeah, that can be actually that was not like removed, yeah, and still create some damage. Can potentially create some damage. And you can see senior people, because as already Vanda mentioned, like senior people, kids, women, the most vulnerable in this war. And as you can see, mostly like the life of these people was totally calm, as all Ukrainian. Yeah, we were living like in a free country. We have our problems. We were fighting to solve these problems, but Russia came and tried to destroy our life. And I believe this couple, yeah, so they live long life, and then eventually they were their house were destroyed. They don't have an opportunity to live their normal life. And so the war should stop to let these people live their normal life. And they need to get an opportunity to rebuild their house and to come back to normal life. And if we're talking about psychological violence, if we're talking about sexual violence that Ukrainian women are now facing still in occupied territories, as well, it should be stopped. And I believe it's very important for Ukrainians to speak up about this all over the world. And addressing to you, because I'm really pleased that here I don't see any I can be wrong about this, and Vanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but I cannot see here any Ukrainian except me, yeah? So it's only Americans, and it's really important for us, because just to talk with Ukrainian community here, it's very easy, yes? So of course they will show up and talk to us, but to have an opportunity to speak directly with you and to deliver the message about supporting to Ukraine, about pushing on your senators, representatives, asking to not only give more weapons support. Yes, we need this, but from this regard, we have enough already, and we hope we will have more. But now the biggest challenge for us is to create this special tribunal to, for the crimes of aggression, that Putin and all these people can face the trial, because victory cannot be without holding Russia accountable. And yes, it can take decades. And we are ready for this, but we need your assistance from this perspective, because it will be very, very hard, just Ukraine by itself, to bring this justice, because for these women, justice is not only be free, finally, yeah, finally be out of the prison, be not behind the bars, but be free, open, breathe the free air. For them, it's really important that all people that they were torturing them, that were holding them just for nothing, for their position, or with Anya, she will tell her story, it's a little bit different, yeah, but if we're talking about Lyudmila, so Anya, she is an officer, so of course prisoner of war, it's a different story, but still, yeah, so when she was in Olenivka, of course her rights as a military woman definitely were violated, and all these people should be punished for this. And this is the only call that I would like now tell you, and I really encourage you. We know that, of course, your voice of each of you can be really meaningful when you're talking to your representatives, when you're talking with your politicians about what they can be done more for Ukraine to hold Russia accountable. Thank you.
Вітаю вас всіх. Окей. Вітаю вас всіх. Мене звати Анна Олсен. Я на даний час військовий ветеран у тимчасовій відставці.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna Olsen. I am a veteran of Russia-Ukraine aggression war. I was held captive as a prisoner of war, and currently I'm in... I have resigned.
На час повномасштабного вторгнення я була старшим бойовим медиком одних із спецпідрозділів морської піхоти.
Before becoming the POW, I was the senior medical staff representative at the 36th Brigade in Mariupol.
І на даний час я є голосом тих військовослужбовців, які знаходяться в полоні, а це 8 тисяч людей.
At this moment, I am the voice of 8,000 POWs that are currently held by Russia.
Я є голосом 1200 військовослужбовців, звільнених з полону.
I am the voice of 1,200 POWs that were freed.
І є голосом тих військовослужбовців, які померли, захищаючи нашу країну.
And I am the voice of I am the voice of all of those who have given their lives defending Ukraine.
На даний час ми пишемо нову історію Всесвіту, криваву історію.
At this time, we're writing a very bloody story.
Але ця нова історія потрібна заради того, щоб країни могли жити в мирі та демократії.
But this bloody story is very important so that world can live in peace.
Рік тому ніхто не міг і подумати, що маленька армія може давати вже на протязі року прочуханки другій армії світу.
Nobody could even assume that the small young army would give so much resistance to the second army in the world.
На даний час разом із допомогою країн-партнерів ми показуємо Росії, що їм не місце в цивілізованому світі.
With the help of our partners, we're showing Russia that they have no place in the civilized world.
В світі, де ми боремося із насиллям, немає місця людям, які його підтримують.
In the world where we're fighting violence, there's no place for a country that supports it.
Незважаючи на всі знущання і насилля в полоні,
In spite of all of the aggression and tortures during my captivity,
незважаючи на грубу заборону рідної для мене мови,
in spite of me not being able to speak my native language,
наші військовослужбовці, виходячи з полону, повертаються назад в підрозділи заради того, щоб боронити країну і весь світ.
all the POWs that return from captivity go back to defend our country, to be free.
Ми розуміємо, що ми стоїмо не лише за нашу країну,
We understand we're not standing just for our country,
що зараз ми стоїмо за весь цивілізований світ.
that we are protecting the entire civilized world.
Заради того, щоб люди могли жити в мирі,
In order for this world to live in peace,
ми втрачаємо наші життя, домівки і сім'ї.
we're losing our homes, our families, our lives.
Ми втрачаємо не лише роки життя,
We're losing not just years of our lives,
ми втрачаємо нас самих.
we're losing ourselves.
Тому що війна ніколи не була легкою.
Because the war was never easy.
Але зараз ми платимо цю ціну заради свободи.
However, right now we're paying the price in order to be free.
Україна своїм прикладом кричить на весь світ про те,
Ukraine, with its example, is screaming to the entire world
про те, що Російська Федерація порушує норми Женевських конвенцій,
that Russia is violating the Geneva Conventions,
про те, що російські військовослужбовці вчинюють військові злочини як до військових, так і до цивільних.
that Ukrainian military personnel is violating, breaking. Oh, am I speaking? Oh, I'm sorry. That Russian army is violating not only the military laws of the military personnel, but also committing crime against civilians and children.
На даний час Україна вдячна за допомогу Сполучених Штатів Америки у зброї.
We're thankful for the the assistance and the military help that we're receiving.
Але саме головне є голос людей.
However, the most important is the voice of the people,
Голос людей, які можуть говорити і розповідати.
the voice of the people that can talk and tell the stories,
Голоса людей, які можуть підштовхнути до допомоги.
the voices of people that can push and ask for help.
Тому що війна виграється не лише зброєю, війна виграється суспільством.
Because the war is not being won just by military means, it's also won through people and communities.
Дякую.
Thank you.
Меня зовут Людмила,
My name is Ludmila.
мне 60 лет, и я 4 месяца как на свободе.
I am 60 years old, and I've only been free for 4 months.
Вы все знаете, что полномасштабная война началась год тому назад.
You all know that the full Russian aggression started a year ago.
Але насправді війна це почалася в 2014 році. Окупація частини України почалася в 2014 році.
In truth, this war started in 2014. The partial occupation of eastern territories of Ukraine began in 2014.
І вже 2014 року вбивали, катували і цивільних, і українських військових.
And since 2014, Russians began torturing civilians and military of Ukraine in these occupied territories.
Це робили росіяни.
It was done by Russians.
Я проживала на окупованій території і з 2014 року допомагала дітям, котрі там залишилися.
I lived on occupied territories, and I was assisting children that resided there as well.
Мої друзі збирали речі, вітаміни, українські книжки. І я це все через лінію розмежування, через той фронт перевозила на окуповану територію і віддавала цим дітям.
We would gather children's clothes, books, and I would bring them over via the separation border and bring them over into the occupied territories to help children and give these items out, clothes, books.
А тепер скажіть мені, якщо ви, американці, маєте вдома американський флаг або американські книжки, то є злочин.
And now tell me, if you have an American flag here in the United States, how could that be a crime?
Я дома мала українські книжки, я дома мала український флаг. І виявилося, що це є злочин.
I had Ukrainian books and a Ukrainian flag at home, and that was a crime.
Мене заарештували за це у 2019 році.
I was arrested for it in 2019.
Робили обшук в домі, перевернули все, знайшли той прапор, скинули на підлогу книжки українські.
They searched through my stuff, through my house. They found the Ukrainian books, the flag, threw my books on the floor.
І повезли саму страшну на той час, та, мабуть, вона так і залишилась по цей день, на саму страшну в тюрму в Донецькій області, ізоляцію.
And they took me to the most infamous prison on occupied territories outside of Donetsk. It's called Isolation. It's a former factory that was abandoned and turned into the worst torture prison of the occupied government on those territories.
Я була там 50 днів, і це насправді за все моє 60-річне життя, це найстрашніші дні в моєму житті.
I spent 50 days there, and they were the scariest 50 days of my entire life.
Весь час з мішком на голові.
The entire time I had a sack over my head.
З 6 ранку до 10 вечора не можна не сідати, ні лягати. Ти просто стоїш.
From 6 a.m. till 10 p.m., I could not sit down nor lay down. I had to stand the entire time. You were not allowed.
За будь-яку провину б'ють.
You were beaten for any infraction.
За тобою наглядають цілодобово відеоспостереження.
They're watching you 24 hours via video cameras.
Наглядають чоловіки.
It was men watching you.
Вони роздягають жінок, вони нас торкаються.
They undress you, they take pleasure in torturing you.
За будь-яку провину ставлять в кам'яний мішок, який має метр на метр ширину і довжину. І ти там стоїш часами по 5, по 7, по 8 часів.
For any infraction, they would put you into a stone sack, and for 6 hours you had to stand and you could not make a step to the side or forward.
Там так катують і чоловіків, і жінок, що крик, який неможливо забути, але не хочеться згадувати.
At this prison, tortures were taking place 24 hours, and the screams of people being tortured will remain with you. It is impossible to forget.
І я знаю, що коли буде звільнена наша та земля, Донецька земля, вся територія України, ми побачимо наслідки цих катувань, ми побачимо там багато захоронень цивільних і військових людей.
When all of our territories will be liberated, including Donetsk, we will find a lot of victims of these tortures, a lot of mass graves, because that's what they're leaving behind.
Потім мене перевели в Донецьке СІЗО.
Then I was transferred to the temporary,
І там отримала майже 3 роки серед злочинців кримінальних, серед вбивць, торгівців наркотиками, шахрай.
I was kept together with the worst criminals, drug dealers, murderers, rapists.
Вони відносилися дуже негативно до таких, як я.
They treated people like me in a terrible way.
Вони нас називали укропками.
They called us nationalists. It's the term they use is related to an herb, but it has a
Ukrop, because it's Ukraine, ukrop, yes, it's mostly like a cliche for people, pro-Ukrainian people with pro-Ukrainian position on the occupied territories. They call them ukropy, so it's very like, but it's really funny because translation, so it's like it's a deal, yeah, so it's just like this herb, so it's,
Вони часто там затівали бійки, і інколи мені приходилось спрятати заточку ножа, бо бувало таке, що кидалися з ножами.
They would start fights frequently, and I had to hide a self-made alternative to a knife to protect myself because occasionally knives would be involved in these fights.
За 3 роки жодного побачення з рідними.
In 3 years, I was not allowed to see my family once.
За 3 роки 5 візитів адвоката, котрий сказав, я нічого робити не буду і не можу, просто підписуй все, що тобі кажуть.
In 3 years, I have seen my lawyer 5 times, and all of the times he kept telling me, just sign everything they give you to sign because I cannot help you.
За 3 роки жодної медичної допомоги.
In 3 years, no medical assistance.
За 3 роки був один суд, так званий. Я там не була присутня. Навіть адвокат мій не був присутній.
In 3 years, there was one court hearing, the so-called court hearing, that I was not present at, nor was my lawyer.
Мені принесли постанову того суду, в якій написано, що в зв'язку з тим, що зараз на території так званої республіки мораторії на смертну кару, страту для жінок, то вони поки мене не можуть засудити, бо не можуть поки мене стратити.
They told me that unfortunately they have a moratoria for capital murder on these so-called territories, and that unfortunately they cannot give me the correct verdict and execute me.
Я знаю, що Америка – це вільна, свободна країна.
I know that the United States are a free country.
Я знаю, як ви відноситесь до свого права вибору.
I know how you feel about your freedom of choice.
А нас там в тюрмі під палками примушували прийняти участь в так званому референдуму про приєднання окупованих територій до Російської Федерації. Палками.
On our territories, we were forced with sticks and arms to participate in the so-called referendum to vote for our territories to become part of Russia.
Вони привели нас в кімнату, дали бюлетні ось так. Не було нічого, ні урни, ні якихось там шторок. Просто дали ті бюлетні і показали ось тут. Ви повинні розписатися ось тут.
They brought us the bulletins. They brought us into a room, gave us bulletins, and showed us what we needed to sign.
Я і ще 3 жінки, ми відмовились, ми проголосували проти приєднання.
My 3 friends and I, we voted against it.
Нас штовхали, нас лаяли і пообіцяли зробити умови нашого там перебуття ще гіршими.
They hit us, they pushed us. They told us that from now on, the conditions in which we'll be held will be even worse.
Мені можна сказати, що повезло, бо був великий обмін жіночий в жовтні 2022 року, і я в той обмін попала.
I am very fortunate, I have to say, because in October there was a big exchange of prisoners of war and other civilian prisoners, and I was lucky enough to be a part of it.
Але ті жінки, котрі зі мною проголосували проти, і багато інших жінок, а їх зараз багато, залишились там.
However, those women that were there with me and voted against the referendum or against becoming part of Russia, they're still in captivity, and so are many others.
Там 30 жінок, котрі знаходяться в цих адських умовах 3, 4, 5 років.
There are 50 women that are held in these inhumane conditions, in hellish conditions, to be exact, for 3, 4, 5 years.
Там тисячі жінок, котрі попали в ці катівні вже після 23 лютого того року, після повномасштабного вторгнення на Україну. Їх там тисячі.
There are thousands of women that are now being held captive since the February 24th of 2022.
Я тут для того, щоб вам розповісти про цих жінок, про ті умови, в котрих вони знаходяться.
I am here to tell you about how they're being kept and what conditions they are in.
Я тут для того, щоб ви знали, що в будь-яку мить ці скажені росіяни можуть скасувати мораторій на смертну кару, і ті жінки можуть бути страчені.
I am here to tell you that at any moment in time, Russia can change its moratoria and execute these women.
Я тут для того, щоб ви надали нам підтримку, щоб ви розповідали, знали про цих жінок, розповідали про цих жінок, наполягали на їх звільненні без всяких умов.
I am here to tell you and to ask you to help free these women so they're not risking their life and they can be freed from these horrible conditions without any condition. They just need to be freed.
Я маю можливість з деякими родичами, близькими родичами тих жінок, котрі зараз проживають на окупованій території, спілкуватися. І я завжди передаю слова підтримки, що весь світ їх підтримує, що не треба опускати руки, що ми переможемо і вони будуть вільні.
I am staying in contact with the relatives of these women held in captivity on these territories, and I always tell them the words of support that I get traveling and speaking. And I tell them that you will be freed, those territories will be freed, and there will be peace.
Допомагайте тим жінкам, як можете. Можете молитвою, можете словами, можете пам'яттю, можете розповідайте, можете наполягайте, щоб ваші депутати, сенатори допомагали нам звільнити не всіх цивільних і всіх військовополонених.
Please speak to your friends, speak to all of those around you, speak to your politicians that these women have to be freed. All civilians and other captives have to be freed.
Дякую вам.
Thank you.
We still have a couple more minutes, and I would like to actually add a couple more things from the perspective of what Russia is doing. Because Lyudmila, she's not a prisoner; she's a civilian hostage. So there's like a very, and not everybody even now realize that Russia just like taking civilians and keeping them as a hostage. And Ukraine now don't have even like real numbers to understand how many people Russia is holding now. So it's really like a lot of these people are in the shadow, and now they try this was one of the like mission for them to be here. It's try to put a light on this problem, try to call, because Anya and Lyudmila, they just came back from Washington. They have a lot of meeting there with in State Department, in Congress, try to deliver this message and saying this, because still world do not understand that they're not like, this is not deported people, this is not like, I know, prisoners, they are hostages, and we really want to be very clear about this definition. So Lyudmila was a civilian hostage, and it's thousand. So yeah, like for now, I believe it's about like 8,000 people that Ukraine estimate that Russia is holding, but this number is very, very approximate. So we don't know the real numbers, and I believe that. For us, it's very important that prisoner of wars, have the same attention as civilian hostages, because it's two big and equal categories of people whom Russia is holding now, and both of them are suffering, and both of them are facing violations of their rights. Both of these categories facing, no matter whether it's a woman or man, because Anya did not tell this, but in previous interviews she was telling that she heard how men were raped in this captivity. So we're not talking about sexual violence against women, we're talking about sexual violence against men, against kids, against women, and it's really, this is like a reality in which people in captivity is living, and this is why they're here. They really want to talk to you now. I believe Wanda will open the session for Q&A, and if you have any questions, you will ask them. But probably the main message for you here now is, yes, we appreciate all of your support. The United States of America already gave a lot to Ukraine, and it won't be visible for Ukraine to stand, and to excuse me for my English, kick Russian ass, on the battlefield, but Russia did it. But Ukraine did it, and of course, Ukrainian people are very brave people, but with bare hands it's very difficult to fight. So thank you so much for letting us protect our hands, and to kick Russian ass. But we need more now from the perspective of just this fairness, this justice. So, and of course, the people who are now in captivity, they have a right to be free. This is like their basic needs. And if you can somehow, I don't know, send a letter to your elected officials, you're saying like, we heard about these people, we know how many, it's thousands of them are in captivity. What can we do? So we want to help. I think it will be very, very helpful. So thank you so much again.
No one's off the hook just yet. We do have question and answer, and I'm sure there are many people that have questions. I do want to start, however, with, I think Ludmila has started a nonprofit, an NGO, that is collecting money for women who have been imprisoned and dealing with their psychological and gynecological assistance. Is that correct?
Not really. So Ludmila, she joined this NGO. So the NGO, so it's a SEMA. It's actually it's a network of organizations in different countries. And SEMA Ukraine was actually founded by a Ukrainian woman, Irina Dovgany. And I believe that probably all of you remember this photo. It was made in 2014. It was Ukrainian woman with Ukrainian flag. She was pulled to the pole, and other woman was beating her in her lower abdominal. And this photo was in New York Times, so it's actually, this photo saved her life mostly, and she became famous all over the world. So after she was released, she founded this organization, and when Ludmila was, got him finally freedom back, so she joined this NGO, and they're really doing a lot to help women who face the same experience.
Well, on that note, I just want to introduce now Julia, and because we are sort of tangled with wire, I'm going to ask if you have a question to stand up.
This is the poster that, hi, I'm Julia. I designed this poster a year ago with the intent to, a friend of mine did the artwork. There's a painting outside that you'll see outside the door. But the intent was to sell the posters to raise money to benefit humanitarian aid in Ukraine. And of course, I didn't know that I'd be here, a year later. But tonight's proceeds, there will be a donation that will be made to, is it SEMA?
SEMA, yeah. Thank you.
So we'll have some information at the table outside. And anybody who wants one, I'd be happy to talk to you more about it.
And then there's another gentleman that spoke to me. Yes.
Thank you, Wanda, and thank you to the panel. I'm humbled by what I've heard here tonight, and I hope that what I have to say will be a source of strength for you. And I ask for all of your help. My name is Bob D'Amelia. I'm from Lisbon, Connecticut. I am a co-producer of a benefit concert, which is to be held this Sunday in New London at St. James Episcopal Church at 3 o'clock. It is for Operation Renew Prosthetics. It's a foundation that was created by Bill Endicott, the former U.S. Olympic canoeing and kayaking coach. He's a friend of ours, and we have gotten behind him to help him bring wounded Ukrainian soldiers to the United States, where they are receiving artificial limbs, prosthetics, and maybe some of you have seen some of this on the television. Has anybody seen any of this? Raise your hand if you've seen any of this. Yes. The work of this foundation has been covered on CBS News Sunday Morning, NBC Nightly News, NPR Morning Edition about a week ago, and also the Washington Post, December 18th, Reuters. This is great work. I personally met the first man who was treated under this program, Alexander Chaika. And Alexander is a dancer and a gymnast. And Alexander deeply impressed my wife and I when we met him on October 10th in Silver Spring, Maryland. He lost his leg on April 5th. He was hospitalized for 3 months, and he eventually came to the US under this program with the help of another organization called Future for Ukraine. And he was brought here. We met him and his wife. He was the first person, and you'll be pleased to know that he is now back with his new artificial leg, and he is teaching gymnastics again in Kiev. True story. So I ask you to please, my wife Maria and I, this was as organic and grassroots as anything you've ever known. We met Bill Endicott, and within 5 minutes we decided we would do a benefit concert. The concert features Elizabeth Von Trapp of the Trapp Family Singers, Sound of Music. The title of the concert is Climb Every Mountain, in tribute to the wounded Ukrainian soldiers, and also a fantastic guitar player named Peppino D'Agostino, who many of you may know as one of the preeminent acoustic guitar players in the world. And so we're doing fairly well, but we need your help. If you can stop at the end of the night and pick up a brochure, I have one for everybody, I'm sure. If you'll take a flyer, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I pledge my support for Ukraine.
Question?
Thank you so much for your testimony. It's searing, and I'm struck by your plea, Irina, that we need to, well, everybody's plea that we need to hold Russia accountable. And what I feel ill-equipped to do, I know how to donate, I know how to give money to the World Central Kitchen and all of that. And maybe there's others in the audience that know the answer to this, but how can we best organize our request for holding Russia accountable on the world stage through our communities, through our representatives? Is there a better way to do it than just write an occasional letter? Have you thought of this? Has anybody else thought of it?
Yeah, understand. So, So, thank you so much, and because this is one of the messages we try to deliver now, yes, that the war won't be even over when it will be the victory. Yes, so Russia should be held, Russians, all war criminals should be held accountable. Honestly, I can tell you that even if you will send a letter, that will be a lot, that can be the beginning of this path. Because I know, yes, it's a lot of attention on Capitol Hill to this question. Yes, of course, there is a lot of petitions or resolutions in Congress preparing for creation this special tribunal for crimes of aggression, for example. It's a lot of efforts, and the United States of America as well helping from this regard a lot, because they have special groups of prosecutors who came to Ukraine to help document crimes and to help bring these cases to the International Criminal Court. So a lot of things is a lot of stuff is going on, now, and it's a lot. But I think here the message was about these civilian hostages, because they still now they hidden, so people don't know about them. For example, the other problems that this is similar. It's kids. So it's according to Russia, it's 700,000 Ukrainian kids were deported from Ukraine, were separated from their families and sent to Russia. So this is one more, for example, problems that now Ukraine try to struggle and try to put more light on this problem, because nobody have any data about these kids. Any international organization don't have any access to these kids. And they're hostages for Russia, because they can use these kids against Ukraine during negotiations, for example, or whatever. So this is why probably now for us it's very important to inform you about these problems and to give you understanding of what is going on. But we can think about, if you're interested in this, we can think and discuss this together, how we can organize a campaign, to bring this topic, to make this topic more visible, for Americans and more understandable. But I believe if you first step can be just send a letter to your congressman or senator. Sorry, Wanda, I'm sorry, Anya would like to add something.
Sorry. Знаєте, будь-яка допомога, вона буде необхідною.
Any help is going to be necessary.
Будь-то просто розмова із вашими сусідами,
Even just speaking with your neighbors to give them the message,
або написання листа губернатору.
or a letter to your governor.
Тому що дана тема, вона є важкою.
Because this topic is very difficult.
І будь-яка допомога, вона якби наближає до перемоги і до знання всього світу того, що відбувається зараз.
And any help brings this issue to light and brings our victory and the end of this closer.
There's one in the back and then one in the front, so I'm going to come in the front and then the back.
Hey, I got a quick question for Anya, which is, Anya, could you talk a little bit more about how women are becoming more normalized in Ukraine's military? This is something that's still pretty new for the United States. Like 10 years ago when I was in the Army infantry, it was all men, but I understand women are fighting at the front. They're doing a lot, and it's becoming or has become pretty normal in Ukraine. It's not really exceptional anymore, which is what the kind of goal is for all of us in egalitarian and meritocratic society.
Якщо на даний час дуже багато жінок вступили в лав Збройних сил України.
At this time, many women joined the military in Ukraine.
І як і 5 років тому ми боремося за наше право бути в армії.
And just like 5 years ago, we're fighting for our right to be part of the military.
Займати такі ж посади на рівні із чоловіками.
To play the same roles next to men in the military.
І на даний час в умовах війни
And at this time, at the time of war,
жінки також виборюють своє право називатися військовими і доводять, що навіть якщо фізично ми слабкіші за чоловіків, але ми сильніше морально і ми можемо допомогти не лише як кухарі або медики.
at this time we're fighting for our right to, while we can't physically be stronger than men, but emotionally and in other ways we are, and we have to fight to become on the same level as men in the military in Ukraine.
Хоча на даний час в Україні був прийнятий закон про гендерну рівність в армії,
Just recently, there was a new legislation putting rights of men and women in the army on equal level.
багато чоловіків не можуть змиритися в тому, що жінки можуть бути кращими в деяких аспектах в армії.
It's very difficult for some men to understand that women could even be better at some things in the army.
Тим паче, що в умовах війни жінки є більш морально витривалішими.
Especially that at the time of war, women may be much stronger emotionally
І саме жінки, вони як є підбодрюючим таким ефектом для військових.
and they may bring the more the moral effect. They give moral support.
І на даний час Україна втратила дуже багато своїх доньок, військовослужбовців.
At this time, Ukraine has lost many women in the military.
І кожна ця жінка, кожна мати, дівчина і донька своїм прикладом показала, що жінки гідні бути в армії. Ми також можемо відстоювати права і допомагати всіма можливими і неможливими ресурсами в армії.
We have proven, all the daughters and mothers and sisters have proven that they can be just as strong and proud military members as men are. We have shown it in the battlefield.
Але на превеликий жаль, сексизм в армії зараз це нормальне явище.
Unfortunately, sexism in the military is very common.
Але українські жінки дуже добре дають прочуханки, і тому потрошки воно спадає.
However, Ukrainian women let men in the military know where their place is.
Who's in charge?
That explains the ink on you, Anna. Your tattoos, right?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about the tattoo?
Теж хочеш розказати про тату?
If you have any question, okay? I have 9 tattoos, so it's a long story.
Добрий вечір. І я вдячна вам за вашу силу і за вашу гоноровість у підтримці України. Слава Україні.
Героям слава.
My question is this. I have been working with the Lviv Emergency Hospital since the beginning of the war in trying to form groups of psychotherapists in order to train them with Western psychotherapists in the area of trauma. We are working with the Centre Primo Levi in Paris, and we are working with several psychotherapists and psychologists at Yale University. We have had access to civilians and to the military who have been transported by trains from the east to Lviv. But we cannot seem to understand how to gain access to women who have been sexually abused, children that have been sexually abused. So my question is what is the process that when you are released from captivity, is there some kind of debriefing that can be helpful for you therapeutically, but also for the purposes of documentation and war crimes and crimes against humanity, because those are tied together. And secondly, do you know of any other groups that are available that we can know about to access and to know about, to communicate to this central forum that's being built at the Lviv Emergency Hospital?
So your question is how you can. So you're interested in like victim of sexual violence, or
I would like to know if there's what is the process by which women who are released from prison. Is there a process? Is there no process by which to be debriefed, to understand what happened? And also, is there an organization, a central organization, either by the government available? Because we have not been able to locate those.
yeah, Ludmila, probably it's the best.
Дякую.
Ви настільки праві, що будь-яка жінка, котра пережила полон, будь то військова, будь то цивільна, вона потребує психологічної допомоги.
You're absolutely right. Any woman that has gone through captivity will require psychological assistance.
Але велика проблема, що не бракує таких спеціалістів, котрі можуть надати кваліфіковану допомогу саме такої категорії жінок.
However, there's a lack of professional assistance in this area that needs to be addressed.
У випадку з цивільними так нас зустріли, так нас опитали, так я давала свідчення Міжнародному кримінальному суду.
I was welcomed when I left the captivity. I was interviewed by the International Criminal Court to give my account of crimes committed against me.
Є навіть закон в Україні, котрий підтримує жінок і полонених, і військових, і цивільних.
There's law in Ukraine that supports women and civilians and POWs that were kept.
Але, на жаль, він не працює повною мірою.
However, it does not work fully.
Ви вже чули сьогодні про нашу організацію, яку ми не прийняли відразу після полону, це «Сема Україна».
You have heard about the organization that I've joined immediately after I
Вона
was
єдина в
freed.
Україні, котра опікується і має своїми членкинями саме жінок, котрі пережили полон або окупацію і були під сексуальним та гендерно обумовленим насильством.
SEMA, the organization that was talked about today, is the only organization that helps women that are liberated, freed from captivity, are freed from those occupied territories that have lived through psychological and other
Gender motivated crimes.
crimes. Yeah.
Не кожна жінка може про це розповідати вголос, і це зрозуміло.
Not every woman can speak about it.
І ми намагаємося, і я особисто намагаюся донести до цих жінок, що не можна в себе все ховати, а для того, щоб не було більше таких прикладів насильства, і треба про це розповідати. І добиватися того, щоб ці кати були наказані.
I personally speak with these women and explain to them that they cannot keep these a secret. They have to talk about it so that other women are not subjected to it and the torturers are punished for their crimes.
Але я хочу зауважити, що допомога психологічна потрібна не тільки жінкам, котрі пережили це.
However, I want to add that psychological assistance is necessary not only to the women that were held captive and lived through this.
Це повинна бути комплексна сімейна допомога.
It has to be a complex family psychological assistance.
І допомога не просто психологів, але, мабуть, і допомога в соціалізації, бо ви бачите, що такі випадки по 2, по 3, по 4 роки, жінка поза сім'єю, жінка поза суспільством, вона знаходиться в жахливих умовах.
Because these women for 3-4 years are kept in horrible conditions away from their society, from their families, and it takes a difficult toll on them to be returning back to their communities and their families.
Я разом зі мною звільнилася молода жінка, чиї діти були в окупації і не бачили маму, мабуть, 2 роки.
Together with me, another woman was liberated, was freed, and she has not seen her children for 2 years.
Ми змогли цих дітей вивезти з окупації. Зараз ця жінка разом зі своїми дітьми, але і діти, і вона потребують психологічної допомоги, котрої поки ми ще не можемо їй надати.
They were evacuated from the occupied territories, both the mom and the children. However, they require psychological assistance, all of them, to find their way back together because they went through so much.
Якщо у вас є можливість і бажання допомагати саме в цій сфері, там є наші контакти «Сема України», ми відкриті до співпраці, будемо дуже вдячні вам.
If that is something you're interested in, there's contact information on the flyer for SEMA or SEMA. Please contact them. They would be very pleased to work with you on this.
Дякую.
And Anya would like to add a couple more things.
A little bit. Я хочу пояснити, що на даний час в країні існує велика нехватка саме людського ресурсу.
At this time, there's a huge lack of human resource in Ukraine.
Тому що дуже багато лікарів пішли воювати і пішли допомагати.
Many doctors have joined the army and left the civil communities.
І дуже часто є таке явище, що один лікар може працювати як з пораненими військовослужбовцями, так і з колишніми військовополоненими.
And the doctor could be working with the military, the wounded, and the former POWs as well.
На даний час так більша допомога надається саме військовослужбовцям.
The most medical help is given to the wounded military personnel.
Але саме через те, що після полону військовослужбовці повертаються назад у військову частину і йдуть воювати.
Because after they recover from their injuries and wounds, they go back into the military.
І це також є одною з великих проблем ненадання достатньої психологічної допомоги. Тому що багато військовослужбовців не розповідають про все, що там відбулося, і тримаються в собі, а це є потенційно небезпечним як для самого військовослужбовця, так і для підрозділу, в якому він знаходиться.
A lot of the POWs that went back to the war are keeping a lot of the things inside and not sharing their stories, and it is dangerous for those around them.
І тому на даний час психологічна допомога забезпечується волонтерами.
At this time, psychological help is provided by volunteers.
Але на даний час немає програми не для військових, не для цивільних в плані саме адаптації та реабілітації.
There's no program to adapt or for adaptation and rehabilitation after captivity.
Тому так, якщо у вас є можливість допомогти або направити людей на допомогу, то це просто величезна буде допомога як цивільним, так і військовим.
If you can help in that area, that would be a huge assistance also.
We have one more question or announcement, and then I would like to, unless you all have anything more to say, I would like to, in the interest of time, to conclude after this announcement, and then invite you all to whatever's left at the refreshment table, but to, continue chatting. But we do have to be out of the library punctually before 8 o'clock. So let me, one last comment, and then
Добрий вечір.
Good evening. I just wanted to announce a local event this Saturday at the Legacy Theater, which is right here in Stony Creek. And it's called Darkness to Light, a sharing of poems and songs from Ukraine. And it's on behalf of Doctors United for Ukraine. So very, very pertinent after what we just heard. And it's at 7:30 p.m. You do have to register with Legacy Theater, but it's free, and of course they ask for donations. So I'll leave these out in back, so if anybody wants to take a look or take one, please feel free. Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot I have a mic. Wanda, I really want to thank you a lot for organizing this great event. It's really meaningful, so thank you. You're behind the scene, but we know whom to thank you, so thank you so much for supporting this and women political salon as well. It's really, really meaningful for Ukraine, and as you already mentioned, this is not the first event dedicated to Ukraine that you organize, and I hope the next one will be a good occasion, victory. But thank you so much.
and thank you all, and the final word is Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава. Люда, ви хотіли передати, так?
I'm sorry. Ludmila has a donation to the Branford Library.
Я хочу залишити в цій бібліотеці, котра нас так всіх вас і нас прийняла сьогодні, невеличкий подарунок, бо це історичне вже видання. Це перші газети, вони обмеженим тиражом, котрі були надруковані на деокупованих територіях Херсона, вони унікальні. Я хочу, щоб
I would like to share with you, and this is a gift for the library for hosting this event. This is a very unique newspaper. It was published in Kherson after it was freed from Russian occupation. This is a very unique, very one in a lifetime, the first issue of the newspaper.
наша Україна швидко відновлюється. Настільки деокуповані території були вільні, ці території вони відновлюються, вони починають жити нормальним, справжнім цивільним життям. Дякую вам.
It shows the resilience of Ukraine because as soon as a territory is freed, the normal life immediately instills. Newspapers are published. Thank you so much.